The worst crash that never happened. The July 22, 2000 near catastrophic event involving Air Canada, Flight 759 at San Francisco International Airport is known as the worst crash that never happened. The airplane almost collided with many planes on the ground as a result of this incident. The aircraft crews and air traffic control's prompt responses prevented the calamity, underscoring the vital role that communication and situational awareness play in aviation safety. Number 7. Flight details. On July 7, 2017, an Airbus A320 Air Canada trip 759 was supposed to make a regular commercial trip from Toronto Pearson International Airport to San Francisco International Airport. Together with a crew of 5, the airplane was transporting 135 passengers who were all anxious to get to their destination. The pilots were getting ready for a visual approach to runway 28R, which is standard practice for landings at this crowded airport, as the flight got closer to SFO. Clear sky and high visibility made for ideal weather conditions, which usually make landing and navigating simpler. However, the closure of nearby runway 28L for maintenance changed the anticipated traffic patterns and made the approach more difficult, complicating the operational situation. Soon, a string of misunderstandings and procedural errors would put everyone on board in danger and challenge the crew's concentration on landing procedures. As a crucial case study in aviation safety, this incident would thereafter be examined closely, highlighting the importance of strict adherence to standard operating procedures and efficient communication amongst all stakeholders. Number 6. Miscommunication. There was a serious misunderstanding between the flight crew and air traffic control when Flight 759 was descending at SFO. 4 aircraft were waiting for takeoff clearance on taxiway C, which is not meant for landings, and the pilots unintentionally lined up their approach with it. The closure of runway 28L and the crowded operational environment at SFO, where several aircraft were operating concurrently, were 2 of the contributing elements to this incident. Despite visual indications that they were aligned with a taxiway, the pilots were unaware that they were not approaching an active runway. Given the significance of situational awareness in aviation, this misalignment is especially worrisome. Pilots are taught to constantly cross-check their instruments and visual references when descending. This instance's failure to do so highlights how readily misunderstandings may occur in intricate airspace situations, particularly when unforeseen changes take place. Furthermore, a major contributing factor to this risky scenario was the ineffective communication between ATC and the flight crew regarding the condition of the runways and taxiways. Number 5. Critical moment. Air traffic control gave directives that further exacerbated the situation in the crucial moments before what could have been a catastrophic catastrophe. ATC did not notify Flight 759 that there were aircraft on taxiway C, but they did affirm that runway 28R was clear for landing. It became more and more clear as Flight 759 descended that they were going to land on a taxiway that was already occupied by other aircraft, which is a dangerous situation. To create a visual warning of an imminent calamity, the pilots of these waiting aircraft turned on their landing lights in an effort to warn the approaching flight of peril. This move showed that they were aware of the issue and were working to prevent disaster. The fact that Flight 759 was going to land on a taxiway rather than an active runway, an error that could have caused a large number of fatalities and property damage, became frighteningly evident as it dropped to roughly 100 feet above the ground. It is impossible to overestimate the severity of this situation. In order to prevent catastrophe, swift decision-making and prompt action were required. Number 4. Go-around command. Air traffic control saw how serious the situation was just seconds before collision and quickly ordered Flight 759 to perform a go-around. This order was crucial since it was given at a time when any delay may have resulted in catastrophe. In a swift and decisive move, the aircraft crew followed regular operating protocols by ascending back into the air and abandoning their landing attempt. In addition to showcasing their training, this prompt reaction made clear how crucial it is for pilots and ATC to communicate well in high-stress scenarios. The choice to circle gave them time to reconsider their strategy and make sure they made a safe landing on the right runway on their second try. This incident serves as an example of how important prompt interventions are in aviation. If ATC had not seen the impending threat and taken immediate action, the consequences would have been disastrous. The effective completion of this maneuver prevented what may have been one of the deadliest aviation tragedies, demonstrating both pilot competence and adherence to safety procedures. Number 3. Successful outcome. During its second approach, Flight 759 performed the go-around maneuver, circled back, and made a safe landing on runway 28R. In what might have been one of the deadliest aviation mishaps, it was fortunate that none of the passengers or crew were hurt. In addition to demonstrating the flight crew's professionalism and competence, the successful landing showed how air traffic control's prompt action can prevent catastrophe under dire circumstances. In hindsight, this episode served as a potent illustration of how near-disaster aviation can be and how important it is for all stakeholders, pilots, air traffic controllers, and ground crews to remain vigilant and communicate during every stage of flight operations. The success of pilot training and ATC procedures in handling high-stress circumstances is demonstrated by the fact that everyone on board survived. Number 2. Investigation findings. The National Transportation Safety Board launched a comprehensive investigation after this near-miss incident to find out what went wrong and why such a risky situation developed. Pilot weariness was found to be a major problem among the flight crew, and the investigation uncovered a number of contributory causes that led to this near disaster. Cognitive abilities, including concentration, judgment, and situational awareness, all essential for safe flying operations, can be hampered by fatigue. In addition, procedural shortcomings in the management of cockpit resources were observed. In particular, crew members failed to effectively cross-check their approach path as they dropped toward SFO. The inadequacy of air traffic control protocols to convey possible risks related to the use of taxiway C at that time was also criticized. This included inadequate notifications of other aircraft on taxiways during peak SFO operating hours. These results demonstrated how human elements, such exhaustion and misunderstandings, can have a big influence on aircraft operations safety. Number 1. Regulatory changes. The investigation's conclusions led the Federal Aviation Administration to enact a number of regulations that improved safety procedures at airports around the United States. One of these modifications was to forbid visual approaches at night while nearby runways are closed. This was done to avoid repeat mishaps in low visibility situations or complicated airport settings where misalignment can easily arise because of misunderstandings about runway designations. Additionally, air traffic controllers now have to complete more rigorous training on identifying potential hazards related to taxiways versus runways during busy operations, as well as improved training requirements for situational awareness and communication strategies with pilots during critical phases of flight. Additionally, airlines started updating their pilot training programs to prioritize following standard operating procedures and enhance pilot resource management abilities through simulation training exercises that emphasized effectively managing unforeseen situations. In the aviation sector, this tragedy was a vital reminder of the value of taking lessons from near misses and consistently working to raise safety standards. To sum up, the worst crash that never happened is a sobering reminder of how vital communication, situational awareness, and following safety procedures are in the aviation industry. Air Canada Flight 759's near miss serves as a reminder of how easily human mistake and misunderstanding can transform a normal flight into a possible catastrophe. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.